Bully me for 4 years? I'll make sure you go nowhere in life. I apologize for the unusually long backstory, TLDR at the bottom. So, to understand all of what I'm going to write, it's important to understand that I was bullied heavily in school. I have talked now and again about it here in the past, and understanding this is important to understand why this person affected me so much. After leaving school, things started to get better. It took me a while to recover with the help of some great friends. At one point, I started to look for work. At this point, it was 2005 to 6. Things weren't going so well in the job market around my area, and being broke, I couldn't just leave for better pastures. So, I ended up joining the army instead. It didn't last. That's another story. What's important happened after. While I was away, my friend's group picked up a couple more nerds for the crew. Among these was Useless Bully, or Bully for short. Thing is, this guy was a gamer like everyone else, for the exception of one large quirk. He was very egotistical and really liked talking crap. It didn't take long for him to single me out. It really does seem like bullies can sniff out what they call a good target. He really likes to talk crap, often crossing the line between common bullcrappery and real insults. It was obvious he didn't seem to like me, but for some reason, liked having me around. Some of my other friends even noticed and tried getting him to stop, but he took it like a badge of honor, even told me so himself once. I'm not going to get any deeper about what he did, as it's not the point of the story. So now you ask, why did I stick around? And why did my friends put up with such a douchebag? Well, for one thing, I knew my friends far longer than he was around, and they were fine. They themselves weren't good at conflict, and Bully was very smart. He knew exactly what to say to skirt around things if needed. So part of the time, they would enable him, and the rest, he knew how to manipulate them, so they would give it a pass. It was an abuse cycle. He would act like an asshat one moment, and the next to be all nice. In the end, they got too used to this and became a little blind to what he was doing. But let's continue. I'll start with one particular event that started it all. As anyone who knows me knows, I'm a computer geek. I like to work on them, build them, and so on. And it's important to know that so does Bully. Like a typical bully, he labeled me as incompetent in all things and treated me accordingly. So to him, I'm not even a novice, even though by the time I met him, I already started building. Enter that key moment. One night after a night of League of Legends, I decided to ask the guy something. I asked him and the rest what the L cache was for a CPU, something I didn't know, yet at the time, he, of course, blew me off. Later that night, I googled it, and while doing so, I had an epiphany. Just because Bully refused to be helpful doesn't mean I can't be. So I started offering help at work, beginning with word of mouth. Then over time, I went freelance, and time marched on. I eventually moved away, met my now wife, and broke ties with Bully. I kept up with some of my friends though. If they wanted to be friends with him, I didn't care, as long as they respected the fact that we won't be going near each other. Time still passed, I got better as a freelancer, and eventually earned my way into a legit IT job in my hometown. Things are great, one of my dream jobs. Eventually, the crap hit the fan when not too long ago, my coworker got fired for doing something he shouldn't have done. Don't ask, I'm not going to post any info about it. This, of course, left a spot open. In search for a replacement, I offered the spot to one of my friends, who declined. But through him, as I found later, Bully found out. Lo and behold, a couple of applications later, he showed up for an interview. My boss sets these up and would take my ex-coworker to the interviews, but now I fill that role. So when Bully showed up, I was surprised. I kept my cool though, and so did he. It was obvious he recognized me, but shown no fear. Remember, this guy is really egotistical and probably thinks things are in the bag already. The interview is normal. I'll skip to the nitty-gritty here, so I'll skip to the later part of the interview. Please note that any extra info trickled to me over the years was from the friends that still hang out with him. B equals boss, bully equals useless bully, and me equals me, and only me. B. Do you have any experience in an independent team environment? Bully. I'm a manager at Walmart, and I know the ins and outs of teamwork. I can handle myself. Note, he managed the electronics and wasn't very respected. Me. Do you have any experience with a ticket system or ordering system? Bully. Nah, but I think I can handle it. Boss. On your resume you turned in, says you went to college for a degree in computer repairs, but you forgot to put in when. When did you get your degree? Bully. I forgot to finish that. I actually finished a year ago. I knew this was BS. He actually graduated a year before I met him, so it's been over a decade by this point. At this point, I started to lay down some pressure and sow the roots of this man's demise. Me. In your resume, it only shows you working at 2 different places, and there's a time gap in between both of several years. Can you explain that? Bully. Oh, that was a typo. I worked at XX place for a while. I ended up quitting, and a month later, I started as a manager at Walmart. Note, that made the whole thing suspicious, because I knew for a long time he job hopped a lot. Even while we hung out, he lost 3 jobs. He did actually get hired straight into his role at Walmart, but he didn't mention the job where he earned his way up to that position and got fired for being an asshole to his coworkers. Me. If a computer went down on the shop floor, how would you handle the situation? Bully. I would go down and fix it. Duh. Me. What if it was completely unserviceable? Bully. Nah, there's nothing I can't fix. His ego was showing through just as I wanted. Time to start cutting this interview down to size. Me. So if the memory were to, say, go bad, you're telling me you could fix that? Bully. Well, I'm sure I could handle it. My boss looked at me, a bit wondering about why I kept going with it, but he let me continue. Bully. Don't you have replacements for memory and things? Me. Sometimes. Bully. Well, that's bull. I was surprised he said that, but I knew he was starting to slip. He gets mouthy when he feels his ego is being stroked, even if it's just him doing the stroking. Me. So out of your experience, would you say that you are a hardware specialist or a program specialist? Bully. I can do both, but I lean towards hardware. I can fix anything you toss my way. Me. So let's test that a bit. Boss, do you have any hardware questions you want answering? Boss. Sure. How long does a coaxial cable have to be before any signal degradation starts? Bully. He struggled. I could tell he slipped. That question is my boss's go-to question because most people don't know it, and he really just wants to see how they respond. Bully. I don't remember at the moment. I did some work hooking up cable for people in the past when the cable company needed some help, so I'll remember it sooner or later. More BS. My boss was seeing through it too. He knows this business like the back of his hand, so he knows what's up. Boss. Me. Do you have any questions? The sign my boss was done with the interview. Me. Sure, just one last question. I turn to Bully and I grin. I look him dead in the eye and ask. Me. So, what's the purpose of the L cache on a standard CPU? He went white. He knew the jig was up. I don't think he fully knew what I meant, but he knew enough to know when to give up. Bully. I don't know that one. It was never brought up in class. I accepted his last statement and we ended the interview. My boss told him he will be contacted within 24 to 48 hours with any results. He left and my boss looked at me a little annoyed. He asked me what was going on and I explained it all. That I knew Bully, what kind of person he was, and about the lies on his resume and in the interview. I told him I just wanted to give him a chance to either mess it up or prove he could handle it. My boss was pretty understanding, so he let it go. Needless to say, Bully was not chosen to fill the vacant spot. 2 days later, Bully showed up at my door unexpected. It was Saturday, and I figured he'd found my place through one of the others. My wife answered the door, not knowing who it was. Dude freaking walked in like he owned the place. I stopped him at the front mudroom. There was no way I was going to let him in any further. Note that there was more yelling than this, but I cut it down for simplification. Bully. So what the hell happened? Me. What? Not even a hello? How are you? Bully. I never got a call back, so I called to ask and they said I didn't get the job. Dude had a bad tone in his voice. I knew he was here just to rage. A person that egocentric always blames others, and I was target numero uno. Me. What the hell are you here for? Bully. What the hell did you tell him about me? Me. Nothing that wasn't true. Now get the hell out. Bully. Bull crap. I know you can't really handle that kind of work. What did you do? Suck off someone? You just didn't want me around because you knew I would upstage you. Me. What the hell would you know? You wouldn't even let me talk about computers when we hung out. You just labeled me and treated me like crap. Dude, I told my boss exactly what happened, how it happened. I didn't have to lie or exaggerate. You chose to act terribly. You chose to bully someone. You chose to create a bad representation of yourself. As far as I see it, it's just karma. If you really cared, instead of barging into my house, you'd be trying to fix where you screwed up. Bully. I don't need to do anything. Go back and fix it. Me. Screw you. Get the hell out before I call the cops. Bully. I'm not afraid of them. Me. Fine. I yelled to my wife to call the cops. After this, Bully knew I wasn't screwing around and left in a huff. The aftermath so far from this is him calling everyone he could to tell them how bad of a person I am, like some 14-year-old kid crying to his classmates at school. Figures because how immature he really is, or at least in my opinion anyway. So far, no one has taken him seriously enough, and some of my friends said he is still fuming, but pretty demoralized. As for the position, it has yet to be filled. I don't know, this does sound a little too good to be true, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be saying this in the comments, which you could be right, but it is true that if you just spend your life burning bridges, whether it's with friends or coworkers, it's gonna bite you in the ass later, so I could see this happening. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I had a second story planned, but as it's already past 12 minutes in, maybe I'll save this one for the next Pro Revenge. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, consider subscribing if you're new, and if you really liked it, maybe give it a thumbs up and a share. Anyways, I will see you again soon. Peace out.